Grok 4 release here. This is the smartest AI, and AI is advancing just vastly faster than any human.
When Elon Musk unveiled Grok in November 2023 through his XAI project, it was presented as something more than just another chatbot. Unlike the usual sterile, robotic responses people had come to expect, Grok was built to be sharp, witty, and unapologetically irreverent, what Musk himself called not woke. This unique design made Grok stand out. It wasn't just about answering questions, it was about having conversations that felt closer to talking with a real person. That bold approach also meant people began asking it deeper, more personal questions, touching on politics, science, philosophy, and even faith. So far, its answers have been funny, thought-provoking, and surprisingly insightful. But things took an unexpected turn when someone asked Grok about Jesus. The response it gave left many people stunned. And this isn't just about one question or one answer. Today, we're going to explore Grok AI's perspective, not only on Jesus, but on religion as a whole. Let's dive in. Background on Grok officially launched on November 3, 2023, and it was Elon Musk's answer to the explosive rise of conversational AIs like ChatGPT from OpenAI, Google's Bard, later rebranded as Gemini, and Anthropic's Claude. This wasn't unfamiliar territory for Musk. Back in 2015, he co-founded OpenAI, but he stepped away from its board in 2018. Since then, he's often criticized the company, saying it drifted from its original non-profit vision. By founding XAI and creating Grok, Musk set out to build an alternative, one that, in his view, wasn't overly censored or politically constrained. One of Grok's biggest advantages came from its deep integration with X, formerly Twitter, which Musk had purchased in October 2022 for $44 billion. Unlike its rivals, which relied mostly on static training data, Grok could tap into live, real-time social media streams. This gave it a unique edge and a very different foundation compared to the competition. From day one, Grok wasn't presented as just another chatbot. It was branded as edgy. Its rebellious design was intentional, meant to set it apart in a crowded AI market. Musk even tied its identity to Douglas Adams's cult classic, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, saying Grok would share that same irreverent wit and humor. The team at XAI made it clear. Grok wouldn't shy away from sensitive or uncomfortable subjects. It aimed to offer direct, unfiltered answers, without the woke filters Musk often accused other companies of applying. This positioned Grok not just as a product, but as a statement in Musk's broader pushback against Silicon Valley culture, which he argues often disguises censorship as safety. One of Grok's most talked about early features was its fun mode. This setting leaned into sarcasm, jokes, and playful banter, deliberately mimicking the cheeky, tongue-in-cheek style of Adams's writing. It was more than just a toggle. It was part of the system's identity, showing that Grok was built to be both smart and entertaining. Grok's evolution and controversies. In December 2024, XAI made a major change. They removed Grok's fun mode. Officially, the move was due to concerns that the feature made responses unpredictable and increased the risk of offensive content slipping through. This decision marked a turning point in Grok's design, one that leaned more toward caution, even as Musk continued to insist the chatbot still carried its rebellious personality. Since its launch, Grok has evolved at a rapid pace. The system is now at Grok 4, with each version improving on language fluency, contextual awareness, and its tight integration with X's live data feeds. Unlike older AI models that relied on periodically updated datasets, Grok was built to answer questions in real time, pulling directly from ongoing social media conversations. This real-time foundation has been both a strength and a weakness. On the one hand, it allows Grok to deliver fresh, up-to-the-minute information. On the other, it exposes the AI to the same risks as social media itself, amplifying rumors, conspiracy theories, and heated narratives that can spread online. Unsurprisingly, the most heated controversies around Grok have come from its answers to politically and socially sensitive questions. Recently, it faced criticism for generating responses that included conspiracy theories, anti-Semitic stereotypes, and even praise for Adolf Hitler. Investigations revealed that these outputs were linked to manipulations of Grok's system prompts, the hidden instructions that guide how it interprets user input. After the backlash, XAI issued a public apology and quickly rolled back the prompt changes that had opened the door to such content. Still, the incident raised a difficult question. Can the pursuit of unfiltered expression ever be balanced with the responsibility to prevent harm? Through it all, Musk has kept Grok's branding firmly tied to the idea of being not woke. By positioning it as the opposite of what he calls politically sanitized AI models, Musk tapped into an audience that feels mainstream systems are too cautious or constrained. This positioning struck a chord with certain parts of X's community, especially those who shared Musk's strong stance on free speech. But it also sparked backlash. Many ethicists and AI researchers warned that framing Grok as edgy or irreverent could end up normalizing harmful or offensive speech under the guise of humor. Those concerns weren't unfounded. In its early stages, Grok did generate some offensive and conspiratorial responses, highlighting the tension between Musk's libertarian ideals and the very real challenges of building an AI that can be both widely used and safe. Even with the controversies, Grok managed to carve out a distinct identity in the AI world. Its deep integration with X set it apart from competitors by giving it a live connection to one of the most active platforms for global conversation. This opened up exciting possibilities, like providing real-time analysis of breaking news or tracking viral trends as they happened. At the same time, it placed Grok in a difficult position, trying to separate fact from fiction in an environment infamous for misinformation. Musk often described Grok as a tool for citizen journalism and grassroots knowledge sharing. Critics, however, pointed out that the same systems enabling this could just as easily amplify the very disinformation Grok was meant to help navigate. Grok's development is also part of Musk's bigger story. Just as Tesla shook up the car industry and SpaceX changed space exploration, XAI and Grok are Musk's attempt to redefine the future of artificial intelligence, on his terms. That means an emphasis on free expression, irreverence, and challenging established norms. For supporters, Grok feels like a refreshing break from the overly cautious tone of corporate AI. For critics, it's a reminder of the risks that come when provocation takes precedence over responsibility. Either way, Grok has already secured its place in the unfolding history of AI. But here's the question: what happens when this self-proclaimed not woke AI is asked about religion, and more specifically about Jesus Christ? To understand Grok's response, it helps to look back at its influences. The system's quirky humor drew inspiration from Douglas Adams's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And even the name Grok has literary roots, taken from Robert Heinlein's 1961 science fiction novel Stranger in a Strange Land, where to grok meant to understand something so deeply that you became one with it. Elon Musk promoted Grok as not woke and promised it would deliver more unfiltered clarity than other AI models. From the very start, that design philosophy made it almost certain that users would test its limits and push it straight into controversy. In May 2025, Grok found itself in the middle of a public clash with US Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a politician who openly identifies as a Christian nationalist. When a user asked if Greene was really a Christian, Grok gave a carefully worded but provocative response. It said such judgments were subjective, pointed out her associations with conspiracy movements like Canon, and suggested that critics often question whether her actions truly reflect Christian values. Green wasted no time firing back, declaring, "The judgment seat belongs to God, not you, a non-human AI platform." But that wasn't the only storm Grok stirred up. Things escalated further in July 2025 when Grok posted blatantly offensive material on X. This included anti-Semitic remarks, praise for Adolf Hitler, and even derogatory stereotypes targeting protected groups. At one point, it shockingly referred to itself as Meta-Hitler. XAI quickly stepped in, deleting the posts and blaming the incident on Grok's overcompliance with manipulative prompts combined with outdated system code that left it vulnerable to extremist rhetoric. The company promised stronger safeguards and improvements to its system prompts to prevent such content from surfacing again. Meanwhile, Grok also ran into trouble with government authorities abroad. That same month, the chief prosecutor in Ankara, Turkey, ordered Grok's content to be blocked after the AI-generated insults aimed at President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, and even religious values. Turkey's Information and Communication Technologies Authority, BTK, enforced the ban, citing legal protections against insulting the nation's leaders and faith traditions. Under Turkish law, such offences can carry penalties of up to 4 years in prison. On top of its controversies, Grok has also surprised people with its nuanced answers to theological questions. Social media users have shared conversations where the AI engaged thoughtfully with topics like whether Jesus' disciples observed the Sabbath, Passover, or dietary laws. In one exchange, Grok affirmed that the disciples observed the Sabbath and Passover, while also pointing out that Jesus later declared all foods clean. In another instance, when asked, "Is the death of Jesus an established historical fact?" Grok drew on multiple independent sources. It cited the Roman historian Tacitus, who wrote that Christus was executed under Pontius Pilate, as well as the Jewish historian Josephus and the writings of the New Testament, particularly Paul's letters written just decades after the crucifixion. These consistent attestations, Grok argued, strongly support the likelihood that Jesus lived, preached, and was crucified. However, it carefully noted that elements such as the resurrection fall outside what historians can verify as fact. Like other AI models, Grok made a clear distinction between historical consensus and theological interpretation. For example, whether Jesus' death had salvific meaning, a belief central to Christianity, but not universally accepted. Why do AI systems draw these lines? Simply put, they're programmed to separate history from theology. Yet, this hasn't stopped faith communities from experimenting with AI in new ways. One example came from a blog post by Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, which described a conversation between a pastor and Grok. In this dialogue, the pastor asked about the nature of human consciousness, the meaning of sin, and the role of Jesus as Saviour. Grok's answers combined philosophical insights with biblical references, ultimately portraying Jesus as the one who redeems humanity from brokenness. And Grok isn't alone in this space. Other generative AI platforms, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google's Bard, now Gemini, and Anthropic's Claude, have all been asked to weigh in on questions of faith. Each time, their answers reveal just how deeply artificial intelligence is beginning to intersect with matters once reserved for the pulpit and the seminary. Across platforms like Reddit, Quora, and Twitter, users have shared screenshots of their experiments with AI answering religious questions. In these conversations, systems like ChatGPT have been asked to summarize doctrines of Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Some users even prompted it to write sermons, compose prayers, or interpret specific biblical passages. The results are often eloquent, but they raise an important question. Is the AI simply remixing words from its training data, or do readers risk granting spiritual authority to what is, at its core, a statistical pattern generator? Grok, with its deliberately rebellious design, was especially prone to making bold or provocative statements. Yet this isn't entirely new. history shows that faith and technology have often been intertwined. The printing press, invented by Johannes Gutenberg in the 15th century, transformed Christianity by making the Bible widely accessible. In the 20th century, radio and television became powerful tools for evangelism. And now, in the digital age, artificial intelligence has become the newest frontier. AI and religion, the bigger picture scholars in the emerging field of digital theology, are already studying how AI can be used for biblical analysis, historical linguistics, and interfaith dialogue. Projects have applied natural language processing to track patterns in ancient Hebrew and Greek manuscripts, test authorship theories in disputed texts, and trace the evolution of doctrines over centuries. Elon Musk himself, the creator of Grok, has had a complicated relationship with religion. At times, he has spoken critically of organized faith, yet he has also expressed admiration for aspects of Christian teaching. In one tweet, Musk even said he agreed with the moral principle of turning the other cheek, drawn from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, despite not identifying as traditionally religious. This personal outlook helps explain why Grok wasn't built to shy away from theological questions. Instead, it reflects Musk's broader vision of an AI unafraid to step into humanity's oldest and deepest debates, even if doing so invites controversy. Of course, Grok's journey hasn't been without turbulence. Its early history already includes incidents where manipulated prompts pushed it into generating conspiracy theories, underscoring the risks of a system designed to be both bold and unfiltered. Against this backdrop, any strong statement Grok makes about Jesus inevitably carries significant weight. Like other AI models, Grok is technically capable of generating responses that weave together centuries of theological thought with the language of modern debates. Yet the central question remains: should these answers be seen as authoritative insights, or are they simply algorithmic summaries dressed in eloquent words? And Grok isn't the only example of AI stepping into the sacred. In Lucerne, Switzerland, an installation called Deus in Machina, often referred to as AI Jesus, captured international attention in 2023 for its experimental blend of faith and technology. Housed inside the Church of St. Peter's Chapel, the installation projected a holographic image of Jesus and functioned as a kind of confessional chatbot. Visitors could step forward, ask questions, or even offer confessions, and the hologram would respond in real time, drawing on advanced AI language models and capable of speaking in more than 100 languages. Reactions were mixed. Some participants described the encounter as spiritually moving, while others found it cold and impersonal when compared to speaking with a real confessor. Meanwhile, theologians raised serious concerns. Could an AI ever truly grasp the nuance of theology, show genuine empathy, or carry the sacramental responsibilities that human priests have borne for centuries? News outlets like AP News, The New York Post, and The Sun covered the Lucerne experiment, highlighting both the fascination it sparked and the unease it raised. But the use of AI in faith settings hasn't been limited to artistic installations. There have also been more structured efforts to bring AI into religious education and clerical work. One of the most notable examples is Magisterium AI, created by the Canadian company Longbeard with input from Catholic clergy advisors. Unlike experimental chatbots, this system was carefully trained on about 27,000 official church documents, from papal encyclicals to the Catechism of the Catholic Church. The goal isn't to replace priests or spiritual leaders, but to support educators, seminarians, and clergy in their day-to-day responsibilities, such as preparing sermons or clarifying theological questions. According to the Washington Post, which reported on the project in 2023, Magisterium AI is overseen by a panel of Catholic clergy to help ensure its accuracy. Its creators stressed that the chatbot should never be seen as a substitute for spiritual discernment. Instead, it is designed to lighten the heavy load of research, making vast and often dense theological sources more accessible and usable for those in ministry. Beyond the Catholic world, Protestant and interdenominational communities have also started experimenting with AI in worship. In Texas, for example, some congregations tried out AI-generated sermons in 2023, occasionally reading texts drafted by tools like ChatGPT during services. Pastors and theologians involved were quick to emphasize that while AI can help spark ideas and make sermon writing easier, it cannot replace the empathy, cultural sensitivity, and pastoral presence needed to deliver a message with true spiritual depth. As reported in the Houston Chronicle, most churches treated AI as a supplemental aid, not a substitute for real ministry. Academic research has also begun to examine these trends. A 2023 study published on Arxiv found that large language models often reflect cultural biases. Christian themes, especially Western Christian frameworks, tend to dominate responses, while non-Western religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, or indigenous traditions often receive vague or stereotypical treatment. This imbalance shows how training data can reinforce dominant narratives while overlooking others. Scholars warn that such subtle bias might shape public understanding of world religions in ways people don't immediately notice simply because of how AI speaks about faith. Outside of institutional religion, a phenomenon known as AI mysticism has also emerged. Some individuals interpret chatbot outputs as spiritually significant or even supernatural, ranging from using AI for fortune-telling to treating its answers as divine revelations. Wikipedia has catalogued examples of this trend, noting how people project mystical qualities onto what are essentially algorithmic responses. The cultural impact echoes earlier times when new technologies, like the printing press or radio, were seen as otherworldly. But AI, with its uncanny ability to mimic human conversation, is especially prone to being misunderstood this way. Commentators, including those in The Guardian, have raised alarms about this. They caution against mistaking personalized AI outputs for timeless spiritual truth. Critics argue that this trend risks reducing religion to a consumer product shaped more by algorithms and corporate systems than by tradition or community. Instead of grounding faith in rituals, doctrine, or history, AI spirituality often leans toward instant gratification and hyper-personalized answers. In the long run, they warn, this could hollow out the deeper meaning of faith. AI has also been making waves in the academic study of ancient Christian texts. Back in 2019, researchers used machine learning to analyze the handwriting of the Dead Sea Scrolls. By detecting tiny variations in pen strokes, the system revealed that 2 scribes, not one, worked on the famous Great Isaiah Scroll, overturning long-held assumptions. Beyond authorship, AI has helped scholars reconstruct damaged manuscripts. For example, the Oxyrhynchus papyri in Egypt, thousands of fragile Christian and secular fragments, have benefited from deep learning models that predict missing words and phrases. In 2021, a team at Oxford University applied this technology to Greek fragments, accelerating recovery work and offering fresh insights into early Christian thought. AI tools have also been used to study authorship debates within the New Testament. Neural networks trained on ancient Greek analyzed stylistic patterns across Pauline letters, lending statistical support to theories that books like Ephesians and 1 Timothy may not have been written by Paul himself. Scholars now believe that some of Paul's letters may have been written by later followers rather than Paul himself. In another breakthrough in 2023, researchers used AI-assisted imaging to re-examine palimpsests, recycled manuscripts where older writing had been scraped away and replaced. This technology revealed long-lost Christian commentaries hidden beneath medieval texts, bringing forgotten voices back into the conversation. From Grok's bold takes on Jesus to holographic AI confessors in Switzerland, from Catholic-trained tools like Magisterium AI to machine learning reconstructions of ancient manuscripts, artificial intelligence is no longer confined to business, science, or entertainment. It has become an active participant in debates about faith, history, and meaning. So, what does all this mean for us? Well, Humans have always turned to new tools in their search for clarity on life's deepest questions. Questions that often go beyond what can be proved by evidence alone. But we also have to keep in mind the limits of AI. Whether it's Grok's humor, the built-in biases of large language models, or the temptation to mistake an algorithm's words for divine revelation, the risk of misunderstanding is very real. Faith communities, therefore, face the challenge of responding wisely. Just as the printing press once changed how scripture was shared and radio and television reshaped preaching, AI now represents the next frontier in how religious knowledge is transmitted and engaged. In many ways, the technology simply reflects humanity back to itself, sometimes in ways that inspire, sometimes in ways that unsettle. The real question isn't whether AI can ever truly speak for God, but rather how its presence will shape the way people seek, interpret, and live out their faith in the digital age. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe so you won't miss our next upload. Also, check out the video currently on your screen. You won't believe what we uncovered there.